Have you ever wondered where you can find the worst place on Earth? Though the answer is up for debate, the notorious, chaotic Rosso border crossing between Mauritania and Senegal certainly fits the bill. In this video, I brave the hordes of scam artists, fake police officers, and every other scourge of humanity as I press onward from Mauritania's capital of Nouakchott south to the colonial city of Saint Louis, Senegal. This is your guide to surviving the infamous Rosso land border.
It is definitely hot here. I got a little bit late of a start because I did have to organize some onward travel plans in Senegal. I'm a little bit nervous about that border crossing as well, as they're so corrupt there. I'm reading traveler stories of being asked for 50 euros, 30 euros, authorization letters, and all this crap that's not even true. So I'm gonna try to see if I can cross at the Diama border, which is much less corrupt. So we'll see how that goes. All right, arriving at the bus terminal garage at the south end of town here in Nouakchott.
Unlike the comfortable buses and shuttle vans that I'd used between Marrakesh and Nouakchott, destinations south of here are served by 7 places, literally 7 seats in French, which are old station wagons that charge by the seat, with the front passenger seat being counted as 2 seats. The 203-kilometer drive from Nouakchott to the Mauritanian side of the Senegal River would take just over 2 hours, followed by a quick ferry crossing over into notorious Rosso, then a final 98-kilometer drive to Saint Louis for a total of 302 kilometers to be covered today.
Oh, definitely a little bit of a poop show there at the garage, but finally leaving Mauritania, so we'll see how this goes. First of many police checkpoints. Oh, stupid mosquito bite. So you can definitely see that the terrain is transitioning at this point from desert Saharan Africa to green sub-Saharan Africa. I'm looking at some of the first trees that I've seen in literally weeks. Definitely more moist here, not as dry, and that's why this vegetation is flourishing. So it's going to get more and more lush as we head south. I was on the road here. So you can see it's pretty hot today. The temperature is up to 39 now. Just a scorcher out there today, as usual here in Mauritania. So we're getting really close to the Senegalese border now, and you can see the terrain is very green. Alright, we are arriving in Rosso. Border post is about 750 meters or so ahead of us. And then we got to take a ferry across the Senegal River into Senegal. So it took about 2.5 hours or so to get down here to the border station, so not too bad. It was about 190 kilometers or so. But again, this is the most notorious border crossing in the world, the worst in the world. It's rated everywhere as the worst border crossing. So tons of corruption, tons of shaking down for, you know, fake bribes and so forth. So we'll see what actually transpires here. All right, walking to the border crossing. Then it's going to be a short ferry ride over the Senegal River. And now we're on this free barge that's going to cross the river to Senegal. They're trying to convince us that it doesn't run, it's full, blah, blah, blah. But just holding our ground and see if it ever departs, I guess. Beautiful river, though. Senegal River. This is the first fresh water I've seen in weeks. All right, we're not quite sure when this thing is actually going to leave. He's like fixing stuff. So who knows? But all I know is that it's free. And it's quite the experience to cross the Senegal River by this little ferry, so let's stick with this option at least. All right, well, the engines have fired up. That's a really good sign. Hopefully we'll be on our way shortly here. It's so close, but so far yet. That's Rosso, Senegal, right in front of us. And then I got a 2-hour drive to Saint Louis after that. All right, we're headed out. So goodbye, Mauritania. Crossing the Senegal River. Thing's actually pretty fast. It's clipping right along at this point. So I'm definitely a little bit nervous. I heard the scams on this side. The corruption is so intense. Hopefully it goes smoothly.
So I'm going to pause right here to give you the full story about what happened to us once we got off the boat. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't allowed to film here, so I don't have any footage, but I hope you'll enjoy the story nonetheless. So at this point, I was traveling alongside a guy from England who was also coming down from Nouakchott. The minute that we disembarked the boat onto the shoreline, we were met by two big guys wearing what seemed to be fake police uniforms who demanded that we hand over our passports immediately. I knew from online research that this was a scam and that if you do hand over your passport, you will be faced with a hefty ransom to get it back. So unfortunately, I've heard stories that certain travelers have paid up to 50 euros to get their passports back from these thugs. So of course, I refused. The scammers, of course, were not happy with this and they tried to block our passage towards the border station. They became really aggressive. We shouted face to face with them and nearly came to blows as we shouted loudly up the hill to catch the attention of the actual police at the border station. And soon enough, a real police officer did come down to the shoreline and accompanied us up to the processing station, and we were free of any trouble from that point forward. So I'd highly recommend avoiding crossing here if at all possible. But if you do decide to cross at Rosso, hold all of your belongings on your person and do not hand over anything of value to any of the fake police officers on the shoreline, and just refuse offers of assistance from anybody that you meet. Definitely the worst border crossing you're going to experience in West Africa. So just keep that in mind. I hope that helps. Now back to Rosso.
All right, that was probably the biggest gong show of a border I've ever been to. Almost got in a fist fight, so it is what it is, but we're through. Welcome to Senegal, country 116. All right, we are walking to the bus station, and it looks like it's about 1 kilometer from the border, so it'd be okay if it wasn't so hot outside, but the heat is like oppressive right now. I keep drinking water and it doesn't seem to stick. My mouth is like persistently dry, so one of the hottest countries I've traveled to in a long time. There's basically very few services when you cross over to Rosso. No ATM, nothing like that. A lot of touts looking to rip you off though with really poor exchange rates. All right, so we are arriving here at the Gare Routière. Still got about 105 kilometers ahead of us. Pushing myself way too hard today. It's 40 degrees outside. I can't get enough water. My mouth is still dry. I just drank this whole 1.5 liter. And I'm petering out. I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm getting chills, probably getting heat stroke. Oh, I gotta cool down. This is a rough border crossing, really rough. And we are boarding this little, it's called a 7 Plus, and it's a 7-seater station wagon to get us to Saint Louis, which is about 105 kilometers away. So they are pretty much loading all the bags right now, tying them down. We're gonna get there pretty late though, unfortunately. All right, so I'm on board the 7 Plus and we're headed to Saint Louis. So it should be about, I don't know, hour and a half, hour 45 or so to get down there. But it's a scorcher out today, so hot. Oh my goodness. Anyway, let's hit the road. We are arriving in Saint Louis, right at sunset basically, just past sunset. All right, I've arrived in Saint Louis and I am walking to the hotel. It's about 15 minutes. We've only encountered scam taxis, so unfortunately we are walking it.
I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to click the bell icon to be notified when new episodes are posted. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next video.